Okay, evening, fam. I'm gonna try to close it up. Revelation chapter 12. I'm gonna try to make a point, introduce some evidence, and we'll go from there. What's the importance of this topic that we're covering today? Immortality, Christ being able to manifest in front of you, immortality for yourself, for your loved ones, the return of your dead loved ones, Christ being able to manifest in front of you, the fulfillment of seek first the kingdom of God and the righteousness, then all things will be added. Church is not the kingdom. If church was the kingdom, all success would be added. Everybody that goes to church and accepts church, especially if they thought church was the kingdom, you got baptized, you swept the church, you were there for the cookouts, you sang in the choir, you were a deacon. If church was the kingdom and the concept of walking in love was the kingdom, all success would have been added to you, and we all know that has not occurred. A lot of embarrassing things have actually occurred dealing with the church. And if the people are like me, I really thought the power was going to manifest in church. I expected to see people in wheelchairs stand up. I know that people say it happens. I've seen videos. But the disciples would go into towns and heal the whole town. It would be like a snowball effect. That I have not seen. I've heard reasons why. I've heard that the power was reserved for the disciples back then. No, because in the end times they start to do those things again. And there are books they took out. For no reason they took them out. And what I'm noticing about the books they took out, the books deal with activity in the black community in the end times. So if you can imagine the powers that be seeing this, of course they're going to try to give them a funny label like Apocrypha and discredit them so you don't read them. And they had me. I was trapped. I wasn't reading them. And I accidentally came across one because a guy quoted from one of the Apocrypha, and it intrigued me. And once I went to see where he got that quote from, I think it was the Book of Jubilee, I stayed inside of what they call the Apocrypha, the disqualified books, from the people who disqualified them didn't originate the books. And then, of course, these people who didn't originate the books focus particularly on the books that talk about God's activity amongst the black community. So I kind of put two and two together. Sabotage, basically. So I'm back into all the books. I don't agree with all of the books being inspired by the Lord, but a good number of them are. All right, so we'll pick up Revelations chapter 12. And for Ghana, I do believe Ghana is the headquarters of these happenings. The Ghanaian people have to understand they're going to have to, at some point, don white robes, a pearl, an instrument, and singing, so we can identify you, the ones who are going to walk in the order of Melchizedek, from the ones who are not interested. When we come to Ghana, if you have on a white robe, a pearl, an instrument, it could be like a little flute that you made. It doesn't even have to be playable, but you need to have a symbol so that when we come to Ghana, this exodus that's coming to Ghana, we can identify who's in agreement with the covenant, because we don't want to be exposed to those who are not in agreement with the covenant, to the Ghanaians who are of the Ananiah and Sapphira system of wages. We do understand that there is a global sabotage on the countries on the countries in the continent of Africa. But the Ghanaians have to understand this is not Obruni, that this is the fulfillment of the covenant. This is family. This is your uncle Canaan's sacrifice so that Africa would not be swept away during the Inquisitions or the colonizations. You would have ended up, if it was not for Canaan. Canaan sacrificed his love for Africa, his love for his dad, his love for his brothers, Cush, Mizraim, which is Egypt, and Phut, which are the Nubians. He loved them so much he didn't want them to go through the possibility of curses and being swept away, losing your lands, all of your resources, being disconnected from your names, being possibly called by European names. Canaan decided, of course, he must have had a vision, but Canaan decided that the curse of Ham needed to be placed on him so that this wouldn't happen to his family. The name Canaan has been disgraced, but actually the pivotal change that is needed comes through the proper interpretation of the man Canaan, who did bear the curse of Ham in Genesis 9:24-27. But in Ezekiel chapter 16, Christ does approach him and give him a double portion blessing, and his children have been carried away from Africa after intermarrying with Shemitic Israel in Judges 3:5-6, and then of course intermarrying with the Europeans during the slave trade. And now we are coming home. And the covenant of Abraham says they shall come out with great wealth. So the Ghanaians need to understand this migration, and I'm going to encourage us to wear white robes with the pearl and the instrument also, so that you can identify us and know who's truly not Obruni. But we are the manifestation of a covenant that's going to allow you guys to enter into the supernatural. And of course, if you offend the covenant, I know that there is a culture, but no thief enters in. Ghana, you have to understand, this thing that's in your backyard, I believe up by the Volta region, the kingdom of God, a piece of land, no thief can participate. And to normalize thievery, you simply will get canceled and you will get documented. No thief enters in, so we must document those who do up the prices. If a person has on a white robe and I'm not saying that it's okay if they don't have a white robe on, and I do know the economy is weak. Just come and sit with those who are coming into Ghana during this exodus that Bob Marley sang about. Just sit with them and allow yourself to be known, and your needs will be supplied, but you must join in so we can build the kingdom, right? But the Obruni and the thievery, in order to participate in the covenant of Melchizedek, mansions, that's what's coming your way. White robes, these are articles, these are issues from the book of Melchizedek. White robes, mansions, a musical instrument, a contract of morality. Over a 6-year period, you have to prove yourself. So you might as well start prepping yourself, especially if you see the arrival. I'll be wearing a white robe, at times when I'm in Ghana. White robe with a pearl and an instrument. And I'll be looking for the Ghanaians who are covenant makers, and I'll be doing my purchases with those individuals. But when I do my purchases, it must be a righteous purchase. It can't be an imbalanced purchase. You'll be disqualified from the covenant. So Ghana, righteousness exalts a nation. You must get rid of the thievery and the imbalance. You must sit down with your brothers that are coming. And they're going to be of all races. You must sit down. You must listen to the contract of equality that we are going to submit. But you must begin to practice. And I know without a vision, the people perish. And up until this point, the Ghanaians have not had a vision that in their backyard might be the kingdom. So you've had no reason and no rationale and no logic to change the culture in Ghana. But it has to change, because in your backyard, I believe you guys have access to immortality. But you can be a Ghanaian and you can miss the whole thing. And you can be replaced by a stranger on the outside. All right, so we're picking up Revelations chapter 12. And I do appreciate Ghana forming the holiday, the year of the return and beyond the return. I do appreciate them inviting us home. But without acknowledgement of the covenant, there's a dry bones. And through the dry bones, there's becoming a manipulation. But your new president is closing the U.S. base, breaking the stranglehold that the U.S. has over the government. This new president is teaming up with President Traore, who has gotten control of the resources. You guys are joining with them, and you guys have access to the sea. So the landlocked 5 countries in the Sahel who are landlocked now have access to the sea through you. So you guys are getting a great blessing. But you must put on righteousness so your nation can be exalted. No thief enters into the kingdom. The people who are coming are not Obruni. They are the fulfillment of a promise to Africa